right, hello wine drinking people. We are back. It's Saturday, 9/11, and an amazing week in the store here this week, and only to be rivaled by the week next week, which we have 5 events. We have Louis Febreze Latour coming in on Wednesday night. We've got our big pairings tasting on Thursday night. We've got our vintage Burgundy tasting here in the store on Friday night, which we still have a few seats left for. Hey, I didn't mention Tuesday. I forgot. I'm sorry. We got a Burgundy tasting at the Tower Club, and then I'll be at dinner at Mancini's. 2 events on Tuesday night. So truly an Olympic week next week here at the Wine Watch. All right, well, what I had to drink yesterday. Well, you guys that have been watching the show know what went down last night, the Bradia event. But first, we did have one supplier in the store yesterday. That's right, folks. We had Anthony from the Florida Wine Company. He brought by George Shinus, a.k.a. the Judge, because he is a judge. As we talked about law and different things in Australia and how disarming the country didn't seem to really help them too much, he quickly pointed out that, yes, sure, violent crimes have gone up since we have taken away guns from people in Australia, but ones with knives, not with guns. All right. Well, good work, George. And as you know, I love the wines of Australia. We've done a number of Australian tastings. These wines are from an area called Mildura, which most of you have never heard of because not a real well-known wine-growing region. It's actually located within Victoria, which is what it says on the bottle. And one of the things that's very important to making great wine is terroir. And one of the things that disturbed me about our visit yesterday was when I asked George what kind of terroir he had, what kind of dirt, what was the soil makeup. He said, "What? I don't know. What do you mean, soil?" You're very important, George. You own the winery, buddy. But some pretty good wines nonetheless, and I would just recommend we need to know the soil types. If some wine geek like myself would ask you that, kind of important just to know it as the owner of the property. But the Innocent, the Shinus Estate Viognier, very nice, a restrained style of Zinfandel on the light side, white peach, a little lemon lime, citrus fruit, some white flowers, a little bit of peppery spice on the finish, but more restrained style of Zinfandel, not overly alcoholic or overly oily or overly perfumey. And then the Shiraz, the Guilty. Innocent, the Guilty. Can you see the theme here with the law, the judge? Okay. This wine was nice. Single vineyard, about 3,000 cases. Old wood, very well balanced, but just very good. I wouldn't say that, the wine was earth-shatteringly good. And then the Verdict, Cabernet Sauvignon next. Very serious. And this wine also very good. And maybe they're missing something in these wines. Terroir! Okay. Check out the reviews on those. You guys know Friday is usually a day when we have some people stop in, and sure enough, Ray and the Consigliere stopped in yesterday. 2003 Louis Barcaglia Lane Chardonnay, which was drinking beautiful. Still had some lovely ripe tropical fruit, a hint of that vanilla spice and creme caramel, and still had some lovely acidity. But I would say you want to drink this up if you have it. And then the 2006 Domaine Jean Grivot Von Romanet Beaumont Premier Cru. I have been touting this 2006 vintage as a vintage that's drinkable now, but still great wines like this need a little time, as this showed last night. Still a little big, a little chunky, and maybe needs a little bit of time still in the bottle. A little bit tannic, but still very nice. And hey, we only got 1 bottle left, so I may end up drinking that one. All right, last night we had our dinner at Cello Restaurant, and the guys, Daniel, Roberto, and the rest of the crew did a yeoman's job last night, serving 25 different wines from Bradia. 16 of the wines, Burico de Uccelone, which is their famous Barbera, well, the first high-end Barbera ever made in Italy, Giacomo Bologna being the first person to believe you could make a great wine out of Barbera. And let me just tell you, the 82, 83, 84, 85, 86 was corked. 87, the first flight, all still very much alive, very much with us. The 82, which was a phenomenal vintage in the Piedmont, was one of the wines of the night for most people. And this wine had some lovely nuance to it, something that you get from Barbera. To me, it really reminds me of Burgundy as it gets older like this. Dried tobacco, mocha, some sun-dried cherry, almost like a cigarette tobacco kind of note to it. Still had some good freshness on the finish, but still very much alive. The 82, what a surprise, what a wine. And then the sign of a truly great producer, 83, not a great vintage in the Piedmont. Still nice, sandalwood, coffee, mocha, caramel, dried herbs, and still some light berry fruit still hanging in there. 85, another great vintage. This wine was still drinking beautiful, had a lot of fruit, nice mocha spice. Still had some zesty acidity to the finish. And as I mentioned, 82 and 85, 2 of the wines of the night. These old dogs that should not still be with us were very much alive. 86 was corked. The 87 was light. 88 and 89, two very good vintages, still showing nicely. 1990 was marked by extreme, almost portiness. This wine was very rich, somewhat overripe. I think the bottle may have been a little muted, but still very, very nice. 1991, another off vintage that was drinking really nice, very soft. Drink them up if you have them. And then 96, wow, one of the wines of the night for me. This is a wine we still have by the case here at the Wine Watch. I just bought the last 3 cases that Vinifera has. If you like Bricco de Uccellone, I highly recommend this 1996 vintage. Then on to 2000, which was also showing really nice. And we're only at the 10-year-old point here, folks. We still have a lot more wine to go through. 03 out of half bottles. One of the wines of the night. Another hot vintage. And the half bottles really showing well. A lot of people pick that as their favorite. The 05 and 06. 06 kind of clearly wins out in that battle to me. The 05 quite a bit lighter in style. 06, a blockbuster vintage. And then the newly released 07. Wow, stunning wine. Loads of concentration in this wine. So, some lovely sweet tobacco, balsamic, cherry liqueur-like fruit, incense spice, really exotic. I decided to show these wines, the old ones first, and then the young ones last, because by the time you get to the young ones, you've already drank 15 wines. I want you to be able to recognize the greatness of the old ones if they are great. The old school would do it the exact opposite way. And we still got more wine to go, folks. We were not finished with 16 wines. We are the pros here at the Wine Watch. We had 5 vintages of Isuma still to get through. This is the late harvest Barbera that they do, and this wine is also aged in barrique. The 1997, still showing very nice. This was another hot year, very popular year with the press. The difference between Isuma and Uccellone to me is concentration, higher alcohol, and you get more of a sun-dried character to the fruit, but still similar terroir. You can notice this wine is made by the same producer. The 2001 was my wine of the night overall. Unfortunately, I have no more of that wine available. 03, good. 04 was very nice. 04, a classic vintage in the Piedmont, maybe not showing at its peak right now. A lot of these 04s are still a little bit reserved, not open. And then a couple vintages of Quorum. Quorum is a Barbera that is actually 5 different producers, Bradia being one of them, that have co-opted their efforts to make a great Barbera. And this wine, stunning. The 1997, I believe, is the very first vintage. Very Burgundy-like, or almost Bordeaux-like, rather. And then these other wines, as I mentioned, were more like Burgundy. This wine, very big, very earthy, a lot of black spice, truffle, tar, you really notice the earth, the terroir of the Piedmont in these 2 Quorum wines. The 01 still very young. And then a couple wines for dessert. The Bracchetto and the Moscato. I don't think anybody got to those because it was about 10:30 by the time we finished up. An outstanding evening. Thank you again, folks, at Cello Restaurant. The food, the service, everything was once again excellent. All right, well, that's what I had to drink last night. I'm your host, Andrew Lampazone for the Wine Watch, signing off, saying remember, always drink the good stuff first.